Okay, everyone, we're about to get started. If you can find your seats, silence your cell phones. And if you can close the side doors if they're open, I greatly appreciate that as well. No security. Okay, good evening, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Wednesday, the 30th day of October in the year 2024. Happy Halloween Eve. This is a regular meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 6 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 6:04 p.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this meeting? Councilperson Ridley.
Aye. Here.
Well, she's ready to vote. Councilperson Prinzeri.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano.
I'll say aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
It's for attendance.
Oh, yeah.
I just like to say I
Sullivan is not
appreciate
here
the
yet.
support.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Present.
Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman.
Here.
We have 8 council members in attendance at 6:04 p.m. Can we kindly rise for a moment of silence, please?
Omar Charlton, Jersey City resident.
Leonora Wright, Jersey City resident.
And Michael Cohen, father of Orpha Cohen, who is an employee of the Health and Human Services Department. Thank you very much. On behalf of Council President Waterman and the members of the Municipal Council, in accordance with New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of City Hall, on the first floor of City Hall, excuse me, which is the annual notice of schedule of meetings and caucuses of Municipal Council for the calendar year 2024 and filed in the office of the city clerk on Thursday, November 30th, 2023. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, October 25th, 2024 at 5:12 p.m. to the mayor, Municipal Council, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Okay, on to our first reading ordinances. Just allow me to read them into the record. Item 3.1, City Ordinance 24-098 is a franchise ordinance granting permission to Emmanuel Goodrum and his successors and assigns to allow parking in a new concrete driveway partially within the public right-of-way, adjacent to 309 Chapel Avenue, Block 27205, Lot 4. Item 3.2, City Ordinance 24-099 is an ordinance granting a temporary easement to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection in connection with the Rebuild by Design Hudson River project consisting of work for stormwater separation, utility relocation, pile driving, sheet piling, and installation of hard structures such as flood walls and deployable gates at various locations on Jersey Avenue, Grove Street, Marin Boulevard, and 18th Street. Council members are going to be taking a vote on introduction for items 3.1 through 3.2. Councilperson Ridley.
On 3.1, we had a lengthy conversation at caucus. And I know that the law department has since that time sent a memo. I just want to walk through where we are with 3.1 or what took place. We had the discussion about a driveway and whether it's fair for us to pass this for a resident that is asking for a franchise ordinance for a driveway within the public right of way, basically meaning the driveway extends into the sidewalk. We were, of course, not in favor of that. And the discussion at the caucus meeting gave the impression, or I'm going to say gave me the impression, I'm pretty sure that was everyone else's impression, that this was a new driveway. But this is an illegally constructed driveway that already exists and is already in the public right of way that we are now trying to go back and then give permissions to something that's already done. And that in no way is anything against the individual that is applying and any ailments that they would have. But I believe that we should do things the right way. So I don't know if any penalties or violations or summonses were issued for the construction of that driveway. To my knowledge, it wasn't. After that meeting, Councilwoman DeGise rode by there, sent me a picture. It is a 2-car driveway currently constructed. I went back in my email because I remembered the address. I received a lot of emails from residents and some city workers about that driveway last year. Councilman Gilmore mentioned the fact that this property has been sold. I went and I pulled up the deed and it was sold in September, recorded in October. So this person is no longer the owner. I don't feel comfortable passing this under the name of somebody who no longer owns the property. So I know that the advice was that we can't say it's unfair and use that as a reason. So my reasoning is, I believe that if we're going to grant these permissions, then it needs to be to the rightful owner and not somebody that doesn't own the property. So I'm going to vote no on 3.1, and I'll vote aye on 3.2.
Thank you. And just to record, Councilperson Solomon present at 6:10 PM. So we now have all 9 council members present. Councilperson Prinzary.
No on 3.1, aye on 3.2.
Thank you. Councilperson Bajano.
No on 3.1 and I on 3.2.
Councilperson Saleh.
To vote aye for all. I'm willing to introduce this and hear from the lawyer again. And I don't necessarily know if the fact that the person requesting this accommodation needs to be the owner of the property. And I just would like to get more clarification on that. I don't think so, but I also am concerned about the legal liability to the city. So that's why I'm voting aye for all.
Councilperson Solomon.
Sure. I'm going to vote no on 3.1, yes on 3.2. On 3.1 briefly, I just would like us to have a much clearer sense of what the city's responsibilities are, not for this one person, but for anybody in a similar situation, because, it sort of has the first time this has come to us in 7 years. So if this, for my 7 years on the council, so if this is what's required, we want to understand what does someone need to do to access this? What are the policies here, as opposed to just some one-off situation? And we have the ownership question. So I'm not opposed to reintroducing it, but I'd like to have a much clearer sense of what our what our broader policies are, as opposed to the specifics of this situation. And then yes on 3.2.
Thank you. Councilperson Gilmore.
I just want to say on 3.1, I mean, I understand the objective, like what they're trying to do. I think at some point we have to entertain this because there are a lot of people who have complications because of medical conditions, and I understand that. But for me, being that the property was just sold, so it kind of, by default, based on the statements inside of the legislation, it's almost like null and void, because they said if the person is no longer occupying a house, then it reverts back to its original form. So for that, I'm going to vote no, but I think we really need to have a real conversation about allowing individuals who have handicap incapacities to park closer to their home. I'll vote aye for introduction on 3.2.
Thank you. Councilperson DeGise.
No on 3.1, yes on 3.2.
Thank you. Councilperson Rivera.
No 3.1, aye 3.2.
Thank you. And Council President Waterman.
No on 3.1 and aye on 3.2. Simple.
Okay. Item 3.1 is defeated on introduction with one councilperson voting yes, Councilperson Saleh, and the rest voting no on 3.1, and 3.2 is introduced unanimously 9-0. Okay, on to our second reading ordinances. Item 4.1, City Ordinance 24-087 is an ordinance amending Chapter 188 to establish a local preference for affordable housing units created by local regulations and requirement. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record. Laverne, just give me 1 second. Sorry, Laverne.
You okay?
Okay. All right, Laverne.
Like a little better understanding on this project.
Sure. So I briefly describe it. So what it does is it will create a preference for Jersey City residents when they're applying for affordable housing units in the city, as long as those affordable housing units were not created with federal or state funding. Because federal or state funding, you have to open it up to a broader set of folks. But if it's just affordable housing and Jersey City, either we funded it through the Affordable Housing Trust Fund or just created about 1,000 units total. Then when people apply in the lottery, they'll have basically a preference to go to an existing Jersey City resident.
You introduced this?
Frank and I.
Okay, not right now. I need some background. That's me. I'm a
Okay.
affordable housing person.
Right.
I would like a little more background.
Sure.
if you Don't mind.
I'm happy to give you to Ms. Laverne.
Okay. Thank you. This is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 24-087. Any member of the public still wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-087 was made by Councilperson Saleh, seconded by Council President Waterman. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-087, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-087.
Could I ask the law department a question on this ordinance? I just want to make it clear, because I know when we tried to do this before, making sure Jersey City residents are priority, we was told that we could not do this. So I want to make sure that we can do this, because we tried to do this before. And I want the public to understand that this was something we tried before, and we was advised that we could not do this. Now you're telling us that we can do it. So I just want it clear for the public to know this was something that we've been trying to do to make sure Jersey City residents had first priority. We've been trying to do this. So now we can. So I just want it on the record so the public can know.
In some circumstances, it may be allowable, in others it's not. I've amended the ordinance to spell out when the local preference would not be in play, when it would violate state or federal law. And the language to clarify that also requires property owners to talk to their administrative agent before they implement any local preference.
Thank you.
Okay. So council members, as discussed at the caucus, I will need a motion to amend City Ordinance 24-087 as Assistant Corporation Counsel John McKinney just explained. We're looking to amend the ordinance. And if you go to page number 2 of the ordinance, first paragraph number 3, there's a strikeout that says new and it goes to vacant. And in the second line, Jersey City affordability. And then there is a paragraph that's being added. The residency preference shall not be implemented or available for any units created in furtherance of the city's present need, also as a rehabilitation obligation as required by the New Jersey Fair Housing Act. This residency preference shall not be implemented or available during at any time the city is not designated as a qualified urban aid municipality by the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs or other designated state agency. All property owners shall inquire with the administrative agent employed pursuant to Chapter 188 of the Municipal Code of the City of Jersey City to determine if a local preference can be implemented before finalizing an affirmative marketing plan. And then on the bottom of page 2, it crosses out April and makes it effective July 1st, 2025. So with that amendment, Corporation Counsel and Assistant Corporation Counsel, is that a substantial change?
No, they're declarative.
Thank you so much. With that being said, council members, may I have a motion to amend City Ordinance 24-087?
Motion.
Motion made by Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Solomon. On the motion to amend City Ordinance 24-087, as I read into the record, Councilperson Ridley, sorry.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion to amend city ordinance carries 9-0. For final consideration and adoption of city ordinance 24-087 as amended, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Let's make sure the mics are on. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Yeah, just briefly thank Councilman Gilmore. I know Council President and others have been trying to do this for a while. And it's really important because we obviously need to make sure that if Jersey City is spending its money or zoning to create affordable units, that Jersey City residents get preference. And we were able to look at a couple of other municipalities that have done this and be able to say, look, if they're doing it, we should be able to do it too. And it's worth fighting for because it's worth fighting to do everything in our power to keep folks here. So excited to see this move forward, and I vote aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Just want to thank, Councilman Solomon and thank the legal department for helping us hash this out. I know sometime before it did it did come before the council. But I think we all have an obligation to look out for all of Jersey City residents. And I think with this local preference, as we see our city development at unprecedented rate, local residents will be able to feel the immediate impact because they will become priority as it relates to the available housing stock. So as long as though said development fall within the parameters of the legislation. So I probably vote aye for this.
Thank you. Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 24-087 as amended is adopted unanimously 9-0. Go Yankees. Next, item 4.2, City Ordinance 24-089 is an ordinance authorizing the City of Jersey City as a tenant to extend for a 2-year lease with 18 Ash Street Realty as a landlord for space located at 46 State Street in Jersey City. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Second. Oh, okay.
Explain to me, because this where the boys.
Hold on. Laverne, hold on.
All right. What's going on here?
This is freezing for some reason.
Aye.
Don't know what's going on. Hold on 1 second.
You ready?
No. Can't change the camera. Oh, here we go. Now it's finally working. Go ahead, Laverne. Sorry about that.
You ready?
Yes.
I just would like to know How do we get from the landlord at 18 Ash Street to 46 State Street? It used to be where I think the boys club was on Ash, right? Come on. Wasn't that the old landmark where the boys club was on Ash 18, that area?
I'm not that boys club is way.
That's a little before your time, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
I'm a little old.
Peter, if you can explain, what's going on here? It's just,
Please, thank you.
extending the lease, right?
Right, this is extending a lease. It's been there for a long time. It's for the fire department and storage of their items and materials.
Yes.
This is basically just a renewal.
They going to State Street with it now? They gonna move from Ash to State Street with it?
No, it's going to be at Ash Street is where the actual unit, the storage unit's located. I'm sorry, Ash Street's the realty company.
Yeah, they're the landlords, yes.
Correct.
What kind of material they putting there?
Different fire equipment, materials used for firefighting, surplus, things like
And nothing that we gotta get sick off of, right?
No, there's basically hoses, a lot of hoses, a lot of their apparatus, where ladders and all that stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, this is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 24-089. Any member of the public still wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Who made the motion?
Danny,
By Councilperson Rivera. May I have a second?
second.
Second by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-089, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-089 carries 9-0. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 24-089, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 24-089 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance. Item 4.3, City Ordinance 24-090 is an ordinance amending Chapter 84, Alcoholic Beverages and Cannabis, Article 1, Plenary Retail Consumption and Distribution Licenses. This is the public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record. Hold on. Just give me 1 second, Danielle. Good to go.
Danielle D'Adamo, Danielle, D'Adamo, Damo.
Thank you.
Good evening, Jersey City Council members, community leaders, and residents. I'm here to speak about the upcoming vote on ordinance 24-090, which will take place tonight. If passed, this ordinance would allow nearly 70 new cannabis dispensaries to open in Jersey City. Given the scale of this expansion, it is essential that the council approach this decision with data-driven research and strategic planning. Voting on this ordinance without conducting a thorough study would be arbitrary and capricious. I'm proposing that the city conduct a comprehensive assessment of our cannabis retail sector focused on the market's current size, operational costs, and sustainable growth potential. This study should analyze factors such as the number of dispensaries needed to meet consumer demand, as well as the projected profitability and risks of oversaturation. This data is essential to ensure a healthy balance that doesn't overwhelm our community or overextend our resources. One key issue absent from this ordinance is the need for sustainable practices within the cannabis industry. Other states have implemented standards that could serve as models here. For example, Massachusetts requires cannabis dispensaries to implement waste reduction plans, including the recycling of cannabis packaging materials. In Jersey City, we could take this a step further by demanding sustainable practices such as the use of renewable energy sources, water efficient cultivation methods, and environmentally friendly packaging materials. Incorporating these practices is vital if we aim to build a responsible, eco-conscious cannabis market. Another point of concern is the ordinance's omission of enforcement measures which unlicensed cannabis storefronts, which currently sell unregulated products and pose a risk to the public and licensed operators alike. Without enforcement, these illegal operators will continue to undermine licensed businesses, disrupt the legal market, and erode consumer trust. In conclusion, I urge the Jersey City Council to delay voting on ordinance 24-090 until this crucial study is conducted. Through this research, we can establish policies that foster a balanced, sustainable, and safe cannabis sector. Let's ensure Jersey City's growth in this industry is as responsible as it is ambitious. Thank you for your time and for considering a pathway that prioritizes our community's future.
Brittany, could you explain this ordinance?
Sure. Even though this is not about cannabis, it's in the same chapter. This is just talking about the plenary retail consumption license for the art house theaters, the theater license, so that they can sell alcohol. So we're not dealing with cannabis tonight. It's just in the same chapter.
It's just in the same chapter.
It's about the consumption of alcohol at the State Theater, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Correct. And issuing a license for it. That's it.
I think they getting mixed up with.
because the word cannabis is in there,
Yeah,
but it's under
then
the
the
same statute. That's
The
why.
title of the chapter is alcoholic beverages and cannabis, but the only thing we're doing is talking about the issuing this new license.
Because the state now allows for any theater company or like
Right.
of a certain size to obtain a license to sell beer and wine
Yes.
during the course of a performance.
Correct. A
Nothing to do with
nonprofit.
cannabis, correct?
Nothing at all.
Correct.
Go ahead.
It's very helpful. Thank you. Gina Davison, Ward F. All I want to say on this issue is that we consider where our liquor licenses are currently distributed in this city, and that there are plenty of restaurant owners and existing businesses in McGinley Square, for example, and other areas that are underserved where we could really revitalize the restaurant and food businesses there. And so just to consider where we're distributing these licenses. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is still a public hearing, okay?
Yeah, Laverne. I got a problem with this because you might got it for one thing, but in my hood, it'll be used for another thing. We already got too many smoke shops, cannabis on MLK, Ocean, Pacific, Municipal, near churches and schools. And it needs to be controlled more because I got too many young people from 10 up, 12 are smoking on our streets. And they, you know, the police can stand and being that it's legal and even let people that's under the age of 18 smoke. Can we put a limit on who can smoke this and get a little more control of this? Because it hurts more in the hood than it do in the suburbs or downtown. No, I rode through downtown here. The guy was rolling his weed up right here on Jersey Avenue by the Pear Station about a week or two ago. And that's nice if they're grown and they want to do it, but how about our young babies? What about them? We're going to let them sit at a table, roll up weed and go to the cannabis right here on Communal Port and Van Horn Street? Is that okay? I grew up in this town around a lot of things. That man sitting up there kept me straight. That retired police up there. But there's nobody out here watching the door no more like that. And our babies are losing it. And we got to do better, please. We got to do better. I'm 76 and I never seen the stuff I seen in my life that I'm seeing today. We can walk by and nobody care. There's kids out there want jobs and no jobs for them to get. I talked to Jerry Walker about a training about doing stuff to help them like that.
You got to stay on the subject.
I'm staying on the subject. To get these kids off the corner smoking the cannabis and smoking the weeds. We got to have places and things for them to do. Thank you.
This is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 24-090. Any member of the public still wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-090 was made by Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second? Second by Council President Waterman. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-090, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-090 is approved unanimously 9-0. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 24-090, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
City Ordinance 24-090 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.4. City Ordinance 24-092 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, amending Section 332-5, one-way streets to convert 12th Street between Monmouth Street and Cole Street into a one-way street in the eastbound direction. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-092 was made by Councilperson Saleh, seconded by Council President Waterman. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-092, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-092. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 24-092, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 24-092 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.5, City Ordinance 24-093 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, amending Section 332-9, stop intersections to designate the intersection of Clinton Avenue and Sackett Street as a multi-way stop-controlled intersection. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion. Second.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-093 was made by Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-093, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-093. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 24-093, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 24-093 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.6, City Ordinance 24-094 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, amending Section 332-9, stop intersections to designate various downtown intersections as multi-way stop-controlled intersections. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-094 was made by Councilperson Saleh, seconded by Council President Waterman. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-094, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman. Motion carries 9-0 to close a public hearing on City Ordinance 24-094 for final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 24-094. Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano, Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 24-094 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.7, City Ordinance 24-095 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, and Stopping, amending Section 332-24.1, Limited Duration Parking for 15-minute parking zones near Manley and Roosevelt Avenue. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-095 was made by Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second? Second by Council President Waterman. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-095, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary,
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano, Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman. Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-095 for final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 24-095. Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary, Councilperson Bajano, Councilperson Saleh,
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 24-095 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.8. Excuse me, City Ordinance 24-096 is an ordinance of the Jersey City Municipal Council adopted, revised, and updated fees for Chapter 345, the Land Development Ordinance related to zoning review applications and some applications for the Planning and Zoning Board. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record. Okay. You just put the camera on your Laverne. Give me 1
Yeah, give
second.
me a little,
Go ahead.
being I do development, but just want to get a little better understanding about this.
Peter?
So this is, we already updated this to the land ordinance. This is just squaring the fee schedule to match that, which wasn't done correctly because we like to have unity between the two of them. So it's just making sure the fee schedule now matches the land ordinance that was previously approved by the council.
Thank you.
This is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 24-096. Any member of the public still wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium, state your name for the record.
Motion. Second.
I'm going to give the motion to Council President Waterman and the close second to Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-096, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-096. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 24-096, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
City Ordinance 24-096 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our last but not least, second reading ordinance, item 4.9, City Ordinance 24-097 is a franchise ordinance granting permission to Jasco Management Corp. for a 5-foot, 5.5-inch by 23-foot, 5.5-inch ramp encroachment at Lot 20 in Block 20004, also known as 307 Pacific Avenue, into the right-of-way. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Ocean.
Hold on.
Oh,
Go ahead, Laverne.
yeah, what do you, this is where I live at. And my family got health. How far out would they be coming? Will it be affecting our streets right there? This is between Municipal and Bramhall.
And this is for the Jersey City Public Library.
But this is the library we do?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, good job. We're gonna bring it out to the curb now. We're gonna get a bigger one.
And break it
There you
up.
go.
That library came a long way.
Yes.
That's my library. Thank you.
Okay,
Good
you're
job.
This is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 24-097. Any member of the public still wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-097 was made by Councilperson Slay, seconded by Council President Waterman. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-097, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-097. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 24-097, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 24-097 is adopted unanimously 9-0. That will conclude our second reading ordinances. Before I move on to the public speakers, I just want to confirm if anyone has the meeting up on their phone or if they know someone who's watching at home. I got mixed signals that the video is not being shown, but I do believe that was corrected by our IT department when we first started. If anybody can confirm that where the video is up and running, I would greatly appreciate that. While we're waiting on that, Council President.
Sean, could we refer to 10.22? So 24-99.
Second.
Give me 1 second. So it's 10.22.
Yeah, and also, while we're on that, Sean,
I can't hear you.
10.2 as well, 10.22 and 10.2.
We're going to make a compound motion. We're going to make a motion to defer to items, 10.2. The best. And 10.22. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
Excellent. On the motion to defer to items 10.2 and 10.22, may I have a motion? Motion made by Council President Waterman. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to defer to items 10.2 and 10.22, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion to defer to items 10.2 and 10.22 is approved unanimously 9-0. Let me just, we'll take them one by one, Council President. Okay. With that being said, we just get to item 10.2. So we'll do them in order.
Yes, do them in
Okay.
order.
Item 10.2, City Resolution 24-097 779 is a resolution honoring St. John's Baptist Church on their 95th anniversary mortgage burning. So we're just going to take a vote on the resolution. On the resolution, Councilperson Ridley.
I just want to say congratulations. This church has been an institution in the community for a very long time. Congratulations on your anniversary and congratulations on getting rid of that debt. So with that, I vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Prinzary.
So congratulations on a momentous anniversary. Congratulations on the mortgage burning. It's great to see churches in our community continue to thrive after so many decades of service. They play a vital role. And to Reverend Dr. Tebow, my former professor, congratulations to you in particular as well. I vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Baggiano.
Congratulations, and I'm really proud of that church. I've known them for years.
Your vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Saleh.
Congratulations on 95 years. Can't wait for the big 100 and God willing, another 100. Houses of worship, and especially, you know, this church has been integral part of the Jersey City community, and you guys do so much for the community. So congratulations. I saw that you got rid of $1.35 million mortgage. That's huge. So congratulations on that, and many, many years, centuries more for you. And with that, I vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Solomon.
Congratulations. So exciting. Well-deserved anniversary, and I proudly vote aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Yes, I proudly vote aye. I'm so happy with the work that Dr. Tebow have been doing in that community, and then just that church in general. When you talk about the rapid development in Jersey City, the rated people are using your houses, losing their houses, and you guys burning this mortgage and celebrating 95 years of service to the Ward F community. I am extremely thankful for all that you have done, and I'm even more thankful for all that you're going to do moving forward. I probably vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson DeGise.
I vote aye. Congratulations. Thank you for all that you do. And I too am looking forward to the big 100.
Thank you. Councilperson Rivera.
An amazing job. You guys are amazing. You guys are great. May God continue to bless you. I vote aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Congratulations, Pastor, and burning the mortgage. I know that's exciting. And I want to thank Scott, because it was Scott who brought this to my attention, that you was doing 95 years and that you was burning your mortgage. Well done, well done. With that, I proudly vote aye.
Thank you. City Resolution 24-779 is approved unanimously 9-0.
No pressure, Pastor.
Okay.
Pastor, say a few. Oh, where you going? Yeah, come and say a few words.
Pastor, you're used to public speaking, so we're going to put the spotlight on you, but if you can just identify yourself for the record from my court reporter, I greatly appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Francis Tebow, pastor of St. John's Baptist Church. Actually, I should say Francis Tebow. And I just want to say thank you to the City Council for this vote. It means a great deal to us to be recognized for the work that we are doing in the community. But I also want to thank some of you individually who have been a part of and supported the things that we've done through the years. I am just becoming the pastor in this 3 years now, but I know, even having grown up in that church, Reverend Waterman, Council President Waterman has been there, has supported. And so I thank you all for your support over the years. And I continue. I look forward to our continued work together as we continue to serve the residents of Jersey City. Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you, Scott.
Pastor, if y'all could stand by, we're gonna take a picture. They're printing out the resolution now, so we'll take a picture. So if you give us like 5 more minutes. There's no Bible study tonight, right? I don't want to hold, okay, I don't want to, listen.
Yeah.
Yes, and they have, yeah, perfect.
Okay,
That one?
so Pastor, you cannot leave until we take that picture.
No, that.
All righty. And our next item that we defer to is item 10.22, City Resolution 24-799. This is a resolution appointing Mikhail Serafian. I'm hoping I'm not butchering your name. I apologize. As a part-time judge of the Jersey City Municipal Court. Let's take a vote first to make sure it gets approved before we stand up and clap on. Councilperson Ridley. No pressure on the council. The judge is looking right at you.
I vote aye, and I just want to say, assuming that this passes tonight, welcome to the bench, and we look forward to you being a great asset to our courts here and doing good work for the residents of Jersey City. So thank you. Congratulations early.
Thank you. Councilperson Prinzary.
So I'll say congratulations early, even though we're still not halfway through the dais. Not only do you have a fantastic resume, but the amount of support you have from your community, I think speaks volumes as to the kind of judge you will be for our municipal court and service to the residents here. So I proudly vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Bajano.
Think I received about 100 calls from Imad saying, I better vote for you. Right, Imad? No, congratulations. You're going to be a great judge, and I vote aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
I want to congratulate you. I proudly vote aye. You are a pillar, not just in the legal community, but the entire community. You come from a family of trailblazers, and you've really set the bar, both you and your family, and we're so proud of you. This is a win for all of us in the Arab community, and I can't wait to see you at your swearing in. Proudly vote aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Echoing my colleagues' remarks, great journey here. We're so proud of you and can't wait to see you on the bench. I proudly vote aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Likewise, I proudly vote aye. I just want to say, I'm very critical of this administration, make no mistake, but the diversity that we've placed in a municipal court, it's like second to none, nowhere. This is great for Jersey City to have the type of representation we have on the local court system here. It is great, and congratulations. I'm thankful. I remember when I first met you, never told me you was a judge, or you never told me you wanted to be a judge one day or whatever. But I'm proud, I'm thankful, and I proudly vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson DeGise.
This is a real old lady moment for me because
Uh-oh.
15 years ago, we were on a school bus going to like Field of Terror, and I was your chaperone and you were my student. But back then you had such a love for your community, a love for your family, and I've gotten to know your siblings in county prep as well. Political science, politics, local and national. You always had a heart and a passion to help people and to be yourself. So I know that you're going to stand true to your values as you progress. I love your TikToks as well. They're very, very informative. Great TikTok channel. But I proudly vote aye, and I'm so proud of you and your entire family. You're such a great role model.
Thank you. Councilperson Rivera.
Man, this is amazing, man. A product of downtown, product of Villa, man, hanging out in Villa, the community. Hung out with my nephew. I am so proud of this appointment, and I again, I want to say, may God continue to bless your journey. There's more to come, and You know, you make your community proud, you make us proud here. I am so happy to vote aye on your appointment.
Thank you. And Council President Waterman.
I want to say congratulations. You know, when I look back coming into office, there was a challenge to make the city diverse when it comes to the police department, when it comes to the courts. And every time we have an opportunity to put a judge or to do a promotion with police officers, I see the diversity there. And to me, that's so important because this city really is a diverse city. And so in city government, the people that are in office should represent that. So I'm proud that you stepping up to the plate. Not everybody wants to be a judge. They really don't, because there is a responsibility, you know, just being a lawyer, there's a responsibility that comes with that. But I know you will do it well because you have a community that loves you dearly. You have a community that supports you. You have a community that you can lean on when there ever is a challenge. And in coming in certain professions, you definitely need that. So may God continue to bless you, bless your family, and may heaven smile on you and your community. With that, I proudly vote aye.
City Resolution 799-24-799 is approved unanimously 9-0. Okay, first question I have for you, Judge. Did I do okay with your name?
You did fantastic. It's Mikhail Seraphim. Thank you.
Excellent. So I want to congratulate you. 31 years ago, I started in municipal court. So I'm so happy to see you get appointed. It's fantastic. And I can't believe Councilperson DeG said an old lady moment. That would make me an old granddaddy now. So anyway, Judge, I don't want to take any spotlight away from you. Go right ahead.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Stephen Fulop, Council President Joyce Waterman, and esteemed members of the Jersey City Municipal Council. I am deeply honored and grateful for the confidence and the trust that you've placed in me with this appointment to serve as judge of the Jersey City Municipal Court. As a son of Jersey City, having lived here my entire life, attended school here, and established my private practice within this community, this appointment is both a great privilege and a profound responsibility. This appointment to the bench represents the essence of Jersey City, a place of opportunity and justice for all. As a first-generation immigrant, I am humbled to step into the role that reflects the spirit of inclusion and commitment to community that defines our city. I'm committed to upholding the principles of justice with integrity, impartiality, and respect for every individual who stands before the court. Thank you, Mayor Fulop, Council President Waterman, and the esteemed Municipal Council for the trust that you have placed in me to serve and protect the values that define our vibrant community. Thank you so much.
Bless you.
Adam's boy.
Sean.
Yeah.
It's the second one.
Judge, if you don't mind, we're going to take a picture with the entire council with you.
Hold on, we gotta do the flow over, Sean. He's the Cowboy fan.
I'm a long time.
Oh, you just broke my heart, Judge. You just broke my heart. I still love you, though.
History of the city of Jersey.
How old are you? The youngest.
I'm 32. Thank you. I appreciate it.
When did you graduate? You got the.
High school?
Yeah.
2010. Yeah, 2010. Yeah.
Let's go. All right, turn around. Okay. You gotta turn around. There's pictures of you.
We gotta get lots of lunch.
Yes, tell him he must retire. They need to get to some lunch.
Yes, yeah.
Rich, turn around, Rich. Yeah, Amy, you little. Got it? Oh, yeah. Mama, hurry up, mama. No, let the family in. This is everybody's moment. There you go. Good job.
Congratulations.
Stay up there.
I'm fine.
So T-Bow.
Yeah, she coming.
We done that?
Yeah.
I thought,
Well, you got something to say?
no, I thought that would be faster.
Oh.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. Oh, man, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, Councilman.
Y'all ready? Dr. Paul T-Bow.
Pastor, can you come up to the podium?
Pastor.
Pastor, we need you to come up to the podium and take that picture that we promised you.
Oh, she's coming up. We got another set of pictures. Oh, yeah, we going with the pastor.
My sound is off?
Take a picture of this. Okay.
Low? Too low?
He doesn't get, is an appointment. It's a HR.
How about now?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what he, it's an
Where's the
HR
church?
slip. Where's the church?
There you go. Where's the rest of the? Oh, okay. Where's the rest of the church? Everybody said they was coming Sunday.
Yeah.
They told me on Sunday they was coming.
Come on. Thanks.
Oh, wow.
Thank you so much, Pastor, for staying. The one thing we do, we follow through with our promises.
Take care.
Okay. We still have an agenda to get through. If everybody is exiting, please exit as quiet as possible and close the door behind you. I greatly appreciate it. Okay. Everyone here in attendance, please pay close attention to your agenda. I will be calling the number and the first name of the speaker. Our first speaker, 5.1, Laverne.
Shirley.
As a nonprofit.
We can't hear you unless you're on the mic.
Oh, it is. It pushed it down.
Yeah.
I have a lady who has a nonprofit on Ocean and Fulton. That's the big. She has no grant money. She like me. But what she's doing up there in our community on Ocean and Fulton between the Dwight and the Lena Edwards building, this bag is about worth $50 worth of stuff that she put together and gave the kids to come there to her after school program. She does stuff like me, and I would love, Council President, if you and some people could just go by there Been
And
there.
You have?
Yes.
Well, you know what I'm
Dollhouse.
talking about then, right?
Yeah,
So if we
support her
can
very
try and
well.
help, get her some help. I'm gonna try some of the people that help me in the community, like Greenie and them. I'm giving out almost 300 turkeys. These are applications for coats that I'm doing, about 300 on the 22nd of, excuse me, 22nd of November, the week before Thanksgiving, I always do. But I just would like for you guys to look around and help out where help is needy. We try to help the needy and not the greedy. And I give out food all year, twice a month. The county gives me a truckload. I give different organizations food. But right now, we really need help in our community with housing and with help with our young people. Like, I'm gonna get this lady some more help, because like I said, she has a good job, and our council president know it, her and her husband. I came in contact with somebody told her husband what I do, and they needed some coats for some of the kids. I'm gonna give them 30 coats. And when I give a family a coat, I give them a turkey. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm trying to get some other items to give out in our community because it's so well needed. And I just thank you guys for what you're doing and working on affordable housing, workforce housing period. And I wish we can get a developer that really want to do Montgomery Gardens instead of tearing it down. There's enough money out there to rebuild that building. We need them units. We don't need them gutting it down to put some trailers there that everybody can hear everybody's business. So I appreciate you guys. Keep up the good work. And you need me, I'm right here. And may God bless you and keep you. And thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker, 5.2, Gina.
Good evening, Gina Davison, Ward F. First, I want to thank Councilman Gilmore for attending the Jersey City March to End Police Brutality. Councilman, we appreciate your support of the people. Tonight, I want to talk about respect. When the audience in this room reacts to betrayals by this council, we are often told, council respected you when you spoke. Now we ask you to be respectful of council. I will challenge that there are 6 members of this council who do not respect us when we speak. If you respected us, you would not continue to vote against the interests of the people, particularly when the mayor wills it. Sitting silently and tolerating us is not the same as respecting us. On September 25th, 6 of you voted to grant a 30-year tax abatement to the Kushner Real Estate Group. Y'all gave a $150 million tax break to a bunch of billionaires, with a B, billionaires. 52 Jersey City residents got up to speak on this topic. Only 3 of them were in support of this project, and those 3 all admitted to benefiting financially from the project. One of the worst offenders is Councilman Saleh, who often closes his eyes while I speak now because he doesn't like what I say. That's not very respectful. Councilman Saleh is constantly reminding us that he is the child of immigrants, using the status of his family to shield him from criticism about the way he votes. There are plenty of people here who are also children of immigrants, and they do not use it as an excuse to act in their own personal interest at the expense of their neighbors. Since we're telling personal stories in order to justify our behavior, I'll let you know that my granddaddy proudly worked as a tailor at West Point for many decades and was the first Black business owner in Gardner, New York. However, for me, as one of the whitest presenting members of my family and who has benefited from a lot of privilege, I see it as my responsibility to fight on the behalf of others. Councilperson Saleh, you have become an errand boy for a rich white man. Council President Waterman, I've spoken with you personally, and I had so much admiration and respect for you, but I am now starting to understand why some people are frustrated. On September 26th, you stood next to the mayor and complained that council had received a, quote, whipping in relation to the tax abatement vote. How dare you act like a victim in a situation where you hold the power? If y'all want to start turning around your reputations, you can start tonight with item 10.7, where JCPD is asking for yet more Tomahawk training for the police We don't know what this is for. The problems that we're having with the police have not been addressed. Shame on you, and justice for Drew.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.3, Tina. I don't see Tina. Not here tonight, right? And how about Edward? No? Okay. Say that again?
Not live streaming, she said.
It's not live streaming? I just got a bunch of people telling me it was live streaming. Okay. Before I call the next speaker, just give me 1 second, okay? We're just going to double check. And I'm going to put the camera on us so we can see everybody. If anybody can hear me that's watching at home,
It's up.
it is up. Maybe you have to refresh. Okay. All right. I think we're good to go. Thank you, though, for that. Our next speaker, 5.5, Danielle.
Good evening, Danielle D'Adamo, Ward C resident. I'm here today to urge you to permanently implement the Manhattan Avenue and Franklin Street demonstration project before the impending expiration of the $670,000 New Jersey Department of Transportation Bikeway Grant. This route is not just another bike path. It is a critical east-west corridor that connects our community's high injury areas, links our parks, provides safer routes for our children attending public school number 8, and is the only east-west connection in the Heights prioritized for a protected bike lane as part of the Jersey City Bike Master Plan. This project is not just about cycling. It's about safety, accessibility, and the quality of life for all residents. This project will calm traffic and make every intersection on the corridor safer. It connects the Heights from east to west, increasing opportunities for connectivity to the Hudson Essex Greenway and Hoboken in the future. It aligns with our Vision Zero action plan to reduce road deaths and serious injuries by 2026, and it allows our Complete Streets resolution, which aims to ensure that all of our roadways are accessible to users of all modes and abilities. And the need for this infrastructure is evident. In the past 5 years, there have been 11 motor vehicle crashes on this corridor, 7 of which involved pedestrians and cyclists. Most recently, a pedestrian was struck at Franklin and Hancock on September 16th. Each of these incidents was preventable. We must take action to ensure such events do not happen again. Furthermore, this project aligns with New Jersey's goal of achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050. It is part of our collective responsibility to create sustainable infrastructure for future generations. And while the demonstration project was in place, we saw an 8% increase in daily bicyclist counts, a promising sign that removing the project reversed. Losing this grant would not only be a loss of much needed funding for infrastructure improvements, but would also represent a missed opportunity to support our Vision Zero and sustainability goals. In times when budgetary resources are stretched, these funds are vital in achieving safety and sustainability targets. Therefore, I urge you to take swift action. Please follow through on the executive order and demonstrate a commitment to safe, equitable, and sustainable transportation in Jersey City. By acting now, you can make a permanent difference in the safety of Manhattan Avenue and Franklin Street for all residents, whether they walk, bike, or drive. Thank you for your time and for considering this important matter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.6, Sarah. Sarah here? No? Our next speaker, Julie, 5.7. Is Julie here?
Good evening. My name is Julie Kyrie Monhe. I'm a Jersey City native, and I'm here today to talk about this year's Palestinian flag raising. Let's rewind a little bit. The last time I was here, there was a sukkah outside for the first time in all my years in this city. Someone correct me if I'm mistaken. But I just want to understand, out of all the times in Jersey City history, why we're fulfilling the requests of people who are openly Zionist, not Jewish, Zionist. How much longer are we going to play pretend? Pretend that it is holy to bomb 4 countries simultaneously. Pretend that Judaism is Zionism. Pretend that the mayor cares about Jersey City and our community. Pretend that this is a diverse court and police department in our city. Let's rewind a little more. In 2022, the mayor signed a sister city agreement with Israel's youngest, let's be real, the terrorist state of Israel is pretty young altogether, which is described to be a thriving, I wish I could say the same about our city, and diverse city. Diverse city. That sounds familiar. I wonder how much longer this diverse, the most diverse city in the country, money-making gentrification game is going to last if you all continue to neglect the majority of your citizens who believe that Palestinians should not endure a Holocaust funded by our tax dollars. Of all the years to host a Holocaust Remembrance Day, you all signed off on that earlier this year, while the same grandchildren of the Holocaust survivors and former IDF soldiers publicly cheer on and defend a modern-day Holocaust on the Palestinians. Fulop's father served in the IDF, so I can almost comprehend the complete Zionist indoctrination and brainwashing, but you, Councilman Youssef, I am truly ashamed of you. How can you work under someone who proudly parades their support of the killing of your people, of our people? I haven't forgotten that you and Councilman Gilmore and Baggiano voted yes on the ceasefire resolution, but if that is all you've done this year, then that was the bare minimum. You have done nothing more to put an end to this modern day Holocaust and nothing more to make us feel seen or safe. How about a Nakba Remembrance Day? It's recognized by the UN, or are we not discussing international affairs still? Is this going to be the second annual cancellation of the flag raising? How long can we keep pleading for you to view Black and brown people as humans? When will the performative and selective actions end? I am tired of coming here and swimming into the void. I am disgusted of how divided we are in this city. It's not just our tax dollars and weapons that are responsible for this division. It's our unaddressed hatred. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.8, Emmanuel.
Hi, good evening. My name is Manuel Morgan, and I am a resident in Ward B. Here again to advocate for the Manhattan Avenue and Franklin Street protected cycle track, as there has been no update on the status of this project since the last City Council meeting. I would just like to begin by sharing how my family uses Jersey City's protected cycle network. It is the way that we get to work, get groceries, go to the doctor, and conduct the business of daily life. I'm grateful to the councilman of Ward C for responding every time I send notes on the state of the Bergen Avenue protected bike lane. Thank you. This protected bike lane and the network has allowed my family to reduce the number of cars in our household from 2 to 1. I believe the protected bike lane in the Heights can do the same for families in the Heights, saving families an average of $12,000 a year and reducing traffic for those who choose or need to drive. Every person on a bicycle is one less single occupant vehicle creating traffic. We already know approximately 40% of Jersey City households do not have access to a motor vehicle, and this rate will likely increase as residential development continues. We need to offer alternative solutions. My family is incredibly grateful to the award-winning transportation planners of Jersey City who have made it possible for us to travel in this way. In fact, my partner and I met on a bicycle, so you could say it is the Jersey City bike lanes that brought us together. However, we still face serious challenges when cycling anywhere outside the protected bike lane network. Between July 1st and September 15th, my partner rode either a bicycle or an e-scooter from our home to the Journal Square Transit Station in order to receive chemotherapy treatments. There is nothing quite like the fear of watching your heart walk out the door or the reassurance that he has a protected bike lane on Bergen Avenue, at least part of the way. My friend Juan Ramirez, who is my neighbor, also a resident of Ward B, was not so lucky. He was returning from work in January 2021 when he was hit by a driver on Central Avenue and left lying on the street. He was taken to Jersey City Medical Center where he received 19 surgeries on his spine and his face. He wanted to be here today, but the NJDOT closed a sidewalk on a bridge between Newark and Jersey City, stranding him until 6:30 when the path allows bicycles. As you can see, people walking and biking have slowly over time been deprioritized and devalued in this country, and now we have reached all-time highs in traffic deaths and roadway spending. And my time is up, but thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.9, Daniel.
Hello, Council. My name is Daniel. I'm a voter in Ward D. I rode my bike here today. When I ride home, I'm going to have a safer trip through Ward E than I will through Wards C and D, where I'm statistically more likely to be injured or killed on a bike. So I'm here tonight asking that you finish the job on the Manhattan-Franklin bike lane. From what I can tell, some of you are worried that the project is unpopular, but our only measurable evidence of opposition is a survey from the summer in which a few dozen residents voted against it. In that same survey, a few dozen residents also voted for it. Since then, nearly 600 people have written to each of you in support of the project, and over 80% of these supporters live within 15 minutes of Manhattan Avenue in wards C and D. Let the record show that the bike lane is widely liked, but here's what matters more. In every country and city where bike lanes have been installed, they've reduced roadway injuries and fatalities. They've increased walking and biking, improving public health and making travel safer for all ages. They've decreased driving, reducing noise pollution, air pollution, and traffic, making it better for people who want or need to drive. Council, when we installed the demo lane on Manhattan and Franklin, more people walked and biked on those streets. Since we removed it, as someone has already said tonight, a woman has already been struck by a car on Franklin. Council, the bike lane is already paid for with money outside the city budget. From the perspective of Jersey City taxpayers, it's free. Councilman Saleh, my councilman, I know you can be decisive, as you were when you voted to save the Pompidou, which, controversially, I agree with, and thank you for. When it comes to this project, you said that if we can put a man on the moon, we can build a bike lane, and I agree. So build it. Keep me safe, keep my family safe, keep my neighbors and my neighbors' families safe. Give us all the freedom to use the roads our taxes pay for, whether or not we own a car. Thank you all for hearing me out tonight, and Councilman Slay, I hope you'll consider joining the Hudson County Complete Streets Advocacy Ride on November 9th. There are a lot of people who would be very happy to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.10, Beatrice.
Here at the last council meeting, and I talked a little bit about my story. And as Daniel mentioned, we've had to date 664 people sign the petition in favor of having the bike lane. 321 of them are from the Heights, and 23 of those people live on the corridor. And I want to bring their voices here because I know a lot of them want to come, but they have children, they can't come, work reasons. So Kaylee says, "Dear Jersey City Council members, make more bike lanes in the Heights, Palisade Avenue, please." Helen says, "The demonstration reduced traffic and improved safety in the Heights. I'm not even a cyclist. I liked it because of what it did for cars and pedestrians. Beth says, I'm emailing the hopes that our elected officials and my representative, Yusuf Saleh, will not squander $670,000 of New Jersey Department of Transportation Bikeway grant. That grant, by the way, the state bikeways grant, New Jersey State said we need 1,000 more miles of protected bike lanes, and I agree, and we got this grant. Let's use it. Back to the letter. It is beyond comprehension that Jersey City might lose this grant. The temporary bike lane was something that my family, children, and neighbors enjoyed for the few weeks it was available. Residents should not have to beg to be kept safe. Please do the right thing. Elena says, Dear Jersey City Council members, as a constituent and resident of Ward C, I'm asking you to please make the Heights bike lane on Manhattan and Franklin Avenue permanent in my neighborhood. My family does not own a vehicle, and I ride my bike every day to commute to Journal Square for work. My young daughter bikes to preschool across Franklin Street to Palisade Avenue, currently on the sidewalk and accompanied by her dad every day. And both my spouse and I use bikes as our primary source of transportation to run errands, go to doctor's appointments, etc. A protected bike lane would greatly improve our safety and encourage more sustainable, active transportation across the Heights. Additionally, there are hundreds of delivery workers in the Heights who rely on e-bikes and would benefit from this bike lane, yet their voices are not being heard. This lane would not only make streets safer for families like mine, but also for these essential workers who keep our community running. Athos says, Dear Jersey City Council members, I live on Congress. I own a condo. I own a car, a parking spot, and 2 bikes. I also take mass transit. I want this bike lane. Negdo says, I'm sure you've all received multiple petitions following the same template listing the benefits of this project. Instead, I will appeal on a more personal level as a resident of Franklin Street. I'm not a cyclist. My main form of moving around is by car. However, as much as I can, I try to avoid driving around town and rely on walking or public transport. Some distances, such as our very own downtown, force me to take my car, but those could easily be substituted with a bike share ride, except that's not realistic in any meaningful way in the Heights. Lack of city bike docks and completely hostile roads make this a non-starter. I'm running out of time. Next time I'll read more, but you have all these letters in your email.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.11, Natalie. Natalie here? No? Next speaker, 5.12, Brian.
Good evening. My name is Brian Riccia. I'm a Ward C resident, and I'm asking the council to approve the proposed Manhattan Avenue and Franklin Street bike lane.
Brian, you got to come a little bit closer to the mic. There you go.
Sorry. I moved to Jersey City a few years back, and my primary mode of transportation within Jersey City and into Hoboken in that time is a bike, in large part because of all of the protected bike lanes that make it safe and convenient for me to do so. I feel that this has given me a rich understanding of the area that I would be missing if I was in a car or even a train. But I am not really familiar with the Heights, even though I live right next door in Journal Square. And I think that's largely because of the lack of protected bike infrastructure in the Heights. It's just not a safe or convenient place for me to bike as opposed to downtown or other areas. The demonstration for the bike lane received overwhelming support from people who bike and scoot. And those residents were largely asking for safety issues. They wanted it to be safer for them, as opposed to the people that were opposed to it who are largely asking for convenience. They didn't like the one-way streets. They didn't like the perceived traffic backup. And it doesn't seem fair to balance somebody's safety versus somebody having to spend a little more time driving. Protected bike lanes make streets safer for all users, all road users, including pedestrians and even those drivers that don't like the inconvenience. Taking people off of the street to use a bike rather than driving benefits them. Slowing down traffic makes it safer for them, as well as for people protected by the bike lane. When we implemented the demonstration, we saw an increase, as others have pointed out, we saw an increase of 8% for cyclists, which was decreased by 8% almost immediately when the demonstration ended, which suggests that people want to bike if it's convenient and safe for them. And this is a great way to do that. So I ask the council to please implement the protected bike lane and don't let this $670,000 NJDOT bikeway grant be lost. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.13, Kevin.
Hello. Today, I understand Director Richardson has put forward a new communication. Since he did so just before this council meeting, there was simply no time for our legal team to evaluate its contents such that they could provide any legal guidance to any of us. Therefore, we have no ability to react or comment on it until the next city council meeting. I hope his communication aligns with the law, and I hope it moves us closer to a legal outcome. If it does, thank you. If it does not, I'm sure our legal team will respond soon. Now we will continue based on what we knew as of yesterday. If you tracked recent developments at Portside Towers, you might think you're watching a tragic episode of The Twilight Zone. As we all know by now, on September 19th, Director Richardson personally inspected our buildings. He photographed empty walls where certificates should be. He saw a redirect to the Truth in Renting Guide, which he noted was not the certificate of registration, which is what is supposed to be posted in plain view. He informed our landlord of their noncompliance. He even heard our property managers offer to pay fines and comment about whether the director intends her to become a Kinko's. I know this because I was there. I understand Richardson also has many years of our leases, I assume dating back to at least 2016. If so, he can also very easily confirm each cannot have an up-to-date certificate of registration or the required information, given the old expired certificate he saw on September 19th continues to have people listed who have not worked for our landlord since at least 2014. I've never seen a lease at Portside Towers with the required certificate of registration. Yet somehow that same inspection resulted in a written certification of full compliance with 263J. Perhaps his new letter will clarify. I hope so. Last week, Commissioner O'Day and Assemblywoman Stamato conducted their own inspection. I was one of several observers, and none of us had any control over how they conducted their investigation. They found precisely what tenants have been documenting in writing for over 2 years: blatant violations of Ordinance 263J. The same violations Councilman Gilmore and others previously verified multiple times in person over the last 2 years. The same violations Director Richardson himself observed. The law is clear. Provide the Truth in Renting Guide and post and provide the certificate of registration with clearly defined required information. Not have a sign about the guide rather than post and provide the certificate and all of its updates within the timeline clearly outlined in the Truth in Renting Guide. Last Thursday, I testified in Trenton. I'm going to run out of time. About how this non-enforcement is helping to facilitate price fixing. Hopefully this will get fixed soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.14, Brendan.
Good evening, Council. In the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy discovered the truth behind the curtain, a small man pulling levers to maintain the grand illusion of the city of Oz. Here in Jersey City, we're witnessing our own version of this lovely fantasy tale, though it's more of a nightmare. Last week in Trenton, former Governor McGeevy pulled back the curtain on how non-enforcement of rent control enables algorithmic price fixing. Hours later, our esteemed Mayor Fulop claimed into the press that we have the strictest rent control rules in New Jersey. But like the wizard's illusions, these words vanish once exposed to reality. Here's what's happening behind the curtains in Jersey City. RealPage's pricing algorithms can't function effectively in buildings where rent control is properly enforced. But when officials certify compliance, despite obvious and comically clear violations, they claim due diligence while ignoring years and maybe even decades and backlogs of complaints. They create the perfect environment for these algorithms to operate unchecked while they profit. The numbers tell the story. Jersey City has become America's most expensive rental market. We've finally beaten New York at something. Couldn't have been anything better. Not because we have the strictest rules, but because these rules only exist on paper for select large landlords, while algorithmic pricing runs wild everywhere else. Even RealPage's own legal counsel appeared in Trenton last week, unable to defend the practices beyond calling the allegations patently false, as they are battling them in federal officials as well. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about the families facing impossible choices, workers in our building who can't afford to live in our city or near our city, a community being priced out by algorithms operating behind a curtain of official indifference. The New Jersey Assembly is now acting to protect us from these algorithms because our local officials won't or can't. Commissioner O'Day is seeking a DCA oversight because our local officials continue to be unable to enforce existing laws. The currents being backed, but not by those sworn to protect us. It's time for the council to stop accepting illusions and start demanding answers. The wizard has been exposed. His name is Stephen Fulop. The real question is, what are you going to do about it?
Our next speaker, 5.15, Suzanne.
Good evening, Council. Since November 2022, not a single council meeting has passed without testimony about housing law violations and selective enforcement. Not one. Hundreds of written complaints, hundreds of in-person testimonies, a perfect record of civic engagement met with a perfect record of selective non-enforcement and deliberate inaction by Mayor Stephen Fulop, special just for our landlord and perhaps one or two other large landlords. The record shows something remarkable. Every time tenants show up, they were right. When they said that buildings were rent controlled, the rent leveling board unanimously agreed. When they reported landlord identity law violations, Commissioner O'Day and Assemblywoman Stamato confirmed them. Long before the Department of Justice launched its investigation, tenants were documenting how non-enforcement enables illegal rent collection. Yet the Fulop administration's response, just last week, a spokesperson claimed they've done due diligence and need to follow timeframes. Director Richardson certifies compliance after photographing violations himself. The mayor tells the press, we've done everything to do the right thing by the tenants, while his administration continues to enable illegal rent collection. Let's be crystal clear. There is no time frame in the ordinance for providing legally required information. Either it's provided or it isn't. The rent leveling board unanimously determined these buildings have always been subject to rent control. There's no process that changes this fact. The law is the law. The public record also shows something else. $20,000 in donations to Fulop linked political groups from a law firm his administration then tried to hire. That firm, representing the city, attempted to prevent tenants from defending their rights. The same administration that claims it's doing everything for tenants sought to spend $80,000 of public money on this effort. Every council meeting, every week for over 2 years, the record of tenant testimony stands unbroken. But so does the record of this administration's protection of select large landlords. History will remember who stood silent in the face of systemic injustice. So with my time left, I'd like to ask again about the investigation that should have been started. Is there any comment on the investigation as to why the wrongdoing continues? President Waterman, any comment? I urge you to please investigate what the hell is going on because I've never had a certificate of registration given to me. It is not in our building. We do not qualify for any rent increase. Please do something.
Our next speaker, 5.16, Tara.
Evening, Council. Let me draw a picture that's becoming clearer every day. Start with a dot, a property manager joking about being Kinko's when Director Richardson asked about legal requirements. Connect it to another, Director Richardson photographing violations but certifying compliance. Add another, a city spokesperson misdirecting attention to unrelated DCA investigation timelines while ignoring the ordinance's clear consequences for noncompliance with truth in renting requirements. Now draw a line to Trenton, where state legislators recognize what we've been saying all along. Connect it to the FBI raid in Georgia investigating related practices. Draw another line to the Department of Justice's investigation, joined by 8 states. The picture gets clearer when you add Mayor Stephen Phillips' quote from last week. We've done everything to do the right thing by the tenants. Connect that to his administration's attempt to spend $80,000 on a firm that tried blocking tenants from defending their own interests. Connect it to his claim about having the strictest rent control rules while refusing to enforce them for select large landlords. What emerges isn't just a pattern, it's a blueprint. A blueprint for using selective non-enforcement to enable algorithmic price fixing. A blueprint for transferring America's strongest rent control laws into meaningless words on paper. A blueprint that has made Jersey City America's most expensive rental market. This isn't about connecting dots anymore. It's about following the money. From algorithmic price fixing to PAC donations. From refused enforcement to political ambitions, from tenant suffering to record profits. Commissioner O'Day and Assemblywoman Stamato didn't need complex diagrams to see violations. They just needed to look. The Assembly didn't need elaborate explanations to vote for protections. They just needed to listen to testimony. The Department of Justice didn't need local permission to investigate. They just needed to follow the evidence. The picture is complete. Nobody can pretend they don't see it anymore. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.17, Sylvia.
Good evening. 1 year ago, we thought the end of our misery would be close. We had just had a historic win at the rent leveling board. Equity would have to pay. We were proven right. All would be good. And yet, I'm still illegally charged more than $1,000 each month by Equity. As if it wasn't enough, the building still seems unsafe as we hear fire alarms, get water shutdowns, and get weekly visits from the fire department. Sometimes it is several times a week. Not to mention, in case of emergency, we have no security guard, no supper on site, which is a complete violation of state laws. What kind of luxury building is that? There is nothing luxurious about portside towers. Only the reception areas are kept well. Everything else is trash. We have rats in the courtyard, broken garbage chutes, cockroaches in the hallways, cracks in the walls, water infiltration literally everywhere, non-working vents, and in many apartments, serious mold issues. This past 2 weeks, we had visits of state inspectors, and the list of non-compliances they have to report does not fit in a whole page. How long are you going to let this happen? Director Richardson came last month to our building, 2 days in a row, and was faced with evidence that the building was not compliant with the New Jersey landlord identity law. He nevertheless, shockingly, concluded with the determination that everything was all right. How is that even possible? Like, is this real? Is this part of a social experiment on how powerful can a coalition between politicians and multi-billion companies become? or on how much corruption is too much corruption. Both seem limitless in Jersey City. Sky is the limit. We are a family with 2 kids who will grow to go to university and aging parents. We are 2 working parents, both with master degrees and good positions, and yet we still struggle with basic expenses. We have projects on hold because almost 50% of our income goes into our rent, illegally. This has been going on for so long and we're not getting younger. We need justice and we have been coming here to ask you for it. So please keep helping us or start doing it if you're not yet on board. Our fight will help other communities in Jersey City and beyond. We need to know that you're with us, fighting corruption and speaking up for the people who chose you, not for the companies who pay so you can become their exclusive servants. Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.18, Drew. Our next speaker, 5.19, Shannon.
Good evening, Council. Bill A4872 was discussed in Trenton last week. Several people spoke both for and against, and in the end, there was forward motion. The measure passed. This is a bill that forbids landlords from using software and algorithms which artificially inflate rents. It's collusion, and collusion is wrong. It's cheating. RealPage and software like it is one step closer to being outlawed in our state. And everybody knows that conducting business like this is unethical. But because corporations like Equity are so big and greedy, citizens and renters have to shout until our voices are sore just to try to get them to stop playing dirty. We all know it, don't we? This feels like games we're playing, games of chicken to see who's going to last longer. And Equity continues to violate and violate, confident that nobody is going to hold them accountable. They stall and they appeal. Meanwhile, our lives continue to get crushed under the stress. Now, we won our case last year in October. The law is on our side, and I believe the wrongs will be righted one way or another, and that I need to be patient. But the bitterness of paying my rent to this bad actor while I'm being patient, can you imagine? That bitterness gets stronger every month. Please try somebody to explain to us why we continue to be charged rents that have been found to be illegal. Calculated was software that's so unethical it's about to be outlawed. And rents I pay to a landlord who can't be bothered to supply us with required safety information that can be the difference between life and death. You know, actually, the more I reflect on these truths, the more it spurs me on to keep coming here every other week. It's so blatant. I'm so angry about the obvious injustice that it just fuels me more. I won't give up. We won't give up. And we won't relent our unshakable, valuable item, our voice. Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.20, Anna.
It's hello. It is 7:51 p.m. My daughter is in dance class. It ends at 8:15. They're supposed to show off their dance skills at 8:05, and I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it because I had to decide to come here, and she understands because she has seen all of you either pay attention or not pay attention. I have to say, Councilman Gilmore, you are like a superhero to her. Seeing you show up at the Halloween parade last week, her being able to introduce you to her friend, say like, this is my friend, like that means so much. And then we see some council people not listening and not realizing that we aren't coming here because it's fun or because it's, you know, our Wednesday night social hour. We're coming here because we want to see change. And I do get upset because this is our lives. As one of my neighbors said, we are spending thousands of dollars in illegal rent. I am living in a 1-bedroom apartment paying $3,600 a month. My daughter and I share a 1-bedroom. Last night she woke up at 4 a.m. and she's like, Mom, you're typing too loud. The reason why I'm typing too loud, I need to do extra work to afford this rent.
So that's where I'm coming from. And that's why I'm not as upbeat, because while I like being surrounded by my neighbors and yay democracy, and I do appreciate that you're listening, it's hard to feel like it's really, really resonating. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about too is that last Thursday in Trenton, while state legislators worked to protect tenants, Mayor Stephen Phillip demonstrated his masterful misdirection. In the New Jersey's Monitor, he claimed their dispute lies with the city's rent leveling board. This is astonishing deception. The rent leveling board unanimously found these buildings have always been subject to rent control. The tenants are in complete agreement with that. The real issue is that this ruling means the Bureau of Rent Leveling must enforce every provision of the rent control ordinance. And that's what Mayor Phillip is desperately trying to obscure from the press and public. This isn't just about certificates on walls anymore. This is about a systematic effort to shield certain landlords from the very laws the mayor claims to support. That's why the Assembly in Trenton is acting. That's why Commissioner Day is seeking DCA oversight. And that's why the Department of Justice is investigating. And that is why I'm showing up every night. 7:53. I've got 17 minutes to get back to Hamilton Park. Thank you for listening.
Our next speaker, 5.21, Erin. Not here. Okay, thanks. Next, 5.22, Liv.
Good evening, Council. 700. That's how many public comments about housing law violations have been delivered in this chamber since November 2022. 700 voices, 700 testimonies, 700 pieces of evidence. Yet last week, after Commissioner O'Day and Assemblywoman Stamato verified these violations yet again, the city spokesperson claimed they're doing due diligence and following the proper time frames. Really? What's the proper time frame for violations reported over 700 times over 2 years? The math here isn't complicated. When Director Richardson certified compliance, despite photographing violations himself, he wasn't just ignoring 700 public comments. He was ignoring Councilman Gilmore's verification, ignoring his own observations, ignoring state law. Truth shouldn't be a process. Here's more math. Jersey City is now America's most expensive rental market. Not coincidentally, we're also a market where enforcement failures enable algorithmic pricing to flourish unchecked, where officials certify compliance while violations persist, where strictest rent control rules exist only in press statements or only for regular landlords, as has been said in this hall by a member of this council. The numbers tell a story of a systematic failure. 2 years of documented violations, 700 public comments, 0 effective enforcement for just some of us, 1 unanimous rent leveling board decision being ignored, 2 officials, 1 from the county and 1 from the state, having to step in to verify what everyone can see. A verification which thankfully has been memorialized in the press. But numbers also tell a story of hope. 4-2. That's how the Assembly Housing Committee voted to advance protections against algorithmic pricing. 8 states joining the Department of Justice to investigate these practices. 2 state officials willing to document the truth. The numbers don't lie, but when officials do, when they certify fiction as fact, when they claim due diligence while ignoring violations, they don't just fail us. They enable the very practices destroying housing affordability in our city. The truth is getting out. I guess it's just a process.
Our next speaker, 5.23, Joel.
Good evening, council members.
Mayor Stephen Fulop's administration appears to live on half-truths and deflections to create false public impressions. These half-truths and deflections do not stand up to scrutiny. We have reported numerous instances of selective quoting of laws, ordinances, numerous examples of partial statements presented as full statements. For example, in response to testimony before the New Jersey State Assembly by former Governor Jim McGreevey and our own Kevin Weller, the mayor told the New Jersey Monitor that our dispute lies with the city's rent leveling board. What a deflection. The rent leveling board's decision is the only action by this administration that is consistent with New Jersey law and New Jersey city ordinances. We have joined federal litigation to support this key finding of the board, that both portside towers buildings have always been subject to rent control. In addition, in the same Monitor article, the mayor claims, quote, Jersey City has the strictest rent controls allowed in New Jersey, end quote. This is a half-truth. While Jersey City may have strict rent controls, it fails to uniformly enforce them. It has blatantly failed to enforce significant portions of the laws and ordinances governing rent control in Jersey City. Further, he claims, quote, we have done everything in this instance to do the right thing by the tenants from a legal standpoint, and our track record and documentation are very clear, end quote. From my perspective, there is no independent evidence to support this. We have repeatedly pointed out that in every instance, other than the rent leveling board's decision, the administration sides not with the tenants, but with the corporate mega landlords, outsiders who apparently are filling his campaign coffers with millions of dollars. Council members, 5 of you have solidly voted with the mayor and or failed to provide us support. Two of you have followed your conscience and have repeatedly opposed the mayor's efforts on behalf of billionaire landlords and developers and or supported us in our struggle. And 2 of you have fallen somewhere in the middle. You all know who you are. Please reconsider and support your constituents instead of the corporate mega landlords who continuously steal exorbitant rents and siphon money out of Jersey City to Chicago and investors worldwide. We would much prefer spending those dollars on local businesses, such as restaurants and groceries, childcare, elder care, to name but a few. Help us keep our money in the local economy and begin your investigation on the lack of enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.24, Doug.
My daughter and son-in-law are residents of Portside Towers, owned by Equity Residential. I have been carefully following the efforts of Portside Towers residents to establish fair and equitable rents under existing state laws and the Jersey City rent control ordinance since the very beginning. Watching every posted video and attending every rent leveling board meeting and city council meeting whenever I have been here. Effectively, Portside Towers is a test case for rent control and the rule of law, and may well have national implications. When I was here in June, I had the opportunity to talk extensively with Council President Waterman, who may recall that I expressed the hope that the situation would be resolved by the time I returned in the fall. Yet here we are. Nothing substantive has changed. Equity Residential is still implementing unconscionable rent increases in defiance of the rent leveling board decision of a year ago, and to date, the city is not stopping them. Here's what I've seen as your constituents try to get the elected officials of Jersey City to first recognize and then enforce the laws and ordinances that apply to rent-controlled buildings. Spring 2022, Equity Residential increases some rents by as much as 35 to 40%. Tenants inquire of the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations whether Portside Towers was subject to rent control. The director, Dina Hendon, responded that they were. May-June 2022, tenants file illegal rent petitions with the city. September 2022, Director Hendon inexplicably reverses her earlier determination and now says that the Portside Towers are not rent controlled. The tenants appeal to the rent leveling board. Ms. Hendon suddenly returns to private life. As it turns out, Ms. Hendon and the city never took into account that the tenants are highly educated and particularly determined. October 2023. Over a year later, the rent leveling board affirms what had been obvious all along. Exemptions from rent control had not been filed. Board issues a unanimous decision that Portside Towers are in fact rent controlled. Once the rent leveling board had made its determination, it has been up to the city to enforce its own laws. We are, after all, a nation of laws. Citizens have the completely reasonable expectation that laws will be enforced even-handedly, and yet another year has passed, and the city administration has failed miserably at all levels to fulfill its duty to enforce the law.
Our next speaker, 5.25, David.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Happy Halloween. I was reading an article recently, very recently, about this legislation that's been discussed in Trenton that has to do with RealPage and with this illegal use of algorithms to calculate rent increases, which my building at Portside Towers has used to come up with these colossal rents that we are here talking to you about at every meeting. So in the article, somebody said, oh, well, we don't need a new law to deal with this because we already have laws that deal with this. And so my first thought was that's disingenuous. And my second thought, though, was that's the same situation that we're in. We already have laws that apply here, but they're just not being enforced. The Rent Leveling Board decided a year ago that the building had always been subject to rent control and that rents had to be recalculated to a legal level. So that was a year ago. So tenants from the building had to come push over and over and over again to get a recalculation completed. And then when it was completed, it wasn't done correctly. It didn't achieve results that were going to be a legal rent. And so we're still nowhere. So this law hasn't protected us because it hasn't been enforced. And again, the landlord identity registration statement is not in a visible place in my building at 155 Washington. It was never provided to me as part of a lease. And now that's been confirmed by, Director Richardson, Assemblywoman Stamato, Commissioner Day, Councilman Gilmore. I apologize if I'm leaving anybody out. A lot of people have seen this by now. Nevertheless, Director Richardson certified that it was in compliance, that the building was in compliance. And this is especially important because it's going to be used as a pretext to claim that Equity Residential has the right to raise rents in accordance with rent control increases, which it's not because it hasn't fulfilled the requirements. So again, the law is there, the law is great, the law is not being enforced. So you can take action to make sure that the city's laws are enforced, and I ask that you please do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.26, Daniel.
Last Thursday, Mayor Stephen Fulop, in response to my fellow tenant Kevin Weller's criticism of Jersey City's deliberate failure to enforce existing rent control laws, told the New Jersey Monitor, quote, Jersey City has the strictest rent control rules allowed in Jersey City, and we've done everything in this particular instance to do the right thing by the tenants from a legal standpoint, and our track record and documentation are very clear, end quote. Strictest rent control rules allowed in New Jersey. Let's go through a few facts. On October 19th, 2023, the Rent Leveling Board of Jersey City determined unanimously that both 155 Washington Street and 100 Warren Street were subject to rent control. They also made a legally binding determination that rents must be rolled back to the legal 2016 rates, so 6 years before the first illegal rent petition in 2022, and the determination had no stay, so any current litigation is irrelevant in enforcing this, And yet not only have the rents not been reduced to the legal 2016 rates, we've all received rent increases since then, every single one of us. And all of us have been forced to sign a lease that says, quote, "We hereby notify you that the premises and the community are exempt from the provisions of any rent control ordinances instituted by Jersey City or West New York, as the case may be, and said premises and community will be exempt from any future rent control, rent stabilization, or rent leveling ordinance instituted by these municipalities for a period of 30 years following the completion of construction at the community," end quote. That's fraud. We're being forced to sign a lease that says our building is not subject to rent control when a legally binding determination was put in place over a year ago that our building is subject to rent control. But yeah, Stephen Fulop, if you're watching this, hi, Jersey City has the strictest rent control rules allowed in New Jersey. And Portside is not in compliance with the New Jersey Landlord Identity Law, which is required to be in compliance with Section 260-3J of the city ordinance. Portside Towers isn't in compliance with the Jersey City ordinance, and thus they cannot legally increase rents. And yet they've been allowed to continue to raise rents illegally. Does it sound like Stephen Fulop has done everything in this particular instance to do the right thing for us tenants from a legal standpoint? Does it sound like Jersey City has the strictest rent control rules in New Jersey? Stephen Fulop is a liar. He has allowed this to happen to us because he is corrupt and doesn't care about tenant rights. I believe that there is a financial incentive for him to allow Equity Residential to continue to raise rents illegally. Again, Stephen Fulop is a liar. He has allowed this to happen because he is corrupt and doesn't care about tenant rights. Stephen Fulop is a liar. He has allowed this to happen because he is corrupt. He doesn't care about tenant rights. Stephen Fulop is a liar. He has allowed this to happen because he is corrupt and he doesn't care about tenant rights.
Our next speaker, 5.27, Jessica.
City Council. I was really hoping my dad wouldn't have to come speak, but thank you. As you know, I'm here to ask for your help in enforcing Ordinance 260, the rent leveling board decision that our buildings are subject to rent control, and ensure that the rent recalculations are delivered without delay. I am here as I've been for nearly 2 years and over a year after the rent leveling board decision. Just to be clear, enforcing ongoing rent control violations immediately that they've stopped is something you can and should do. We've all received illegal increases, as was pointed out, since the decision. That shouldn't be permitted. Speaking of help, I have wondered for nearly 2 years why the current mayor of Jersey City has never been here in these chambers on our behalf when others in the city and the county have been. At the beginning of this fight, I thought surely he would hear our pleas and would address such an important issue that affects many of his renter constituents. Now I know what captures his attention. Last week, Mayor Fulop broke his typical silence on the issue after Kevin spoke in Trenton about rental price fixing. Clearly, the mayor is concerned about the statewide and national implications of ignoring us. But instead of helping us, he attempted to cloud the very simple issues at hand. Mayor Fulop said our dispute lies with the city's rent leveling board, something you've heard before, and that this half-truth ignores the fact that we wholeheartedly agree with the board's decision about that our buildings are subject to rent control. Where we differ is the base rent determination in the look-back period. But importantly, our current and pressing issue is that the city is not enforcing rent control violations. They're not stopping them from happening every day. Mayor Fulop also stated Jersey City has the strictest rent control rules allowed in New Jersey. For anyone following our fight, this statement is a misdirection. We've seen this city selectively enforce these rules only for certain landlords or for landlords of a certain size. I watched the rent leveling board hearing of about 3 weeks ago. They knew what the right thing to do was. Pastor Chiron Richardson spoke on behalf of the ordinance, and they were able to enforce with that landlord. But that building was about 20 units of a small landlord that's new to the city. So, interesting. Next, Fulop stated we've done everything in this particular instance to do the right thing. The right thing. There were so many steps along the way where your administration, Mayor Fulop, only did the right thing when we forced you to do so. The right thing would mean that I today wouldn't be paying yet another illegal increase since July. Your constituents are not confused by your careful language to the press, and we know exactly where to look for an explanation of the ongoing delays in enforcement.
Thank you. Our next speaker, 5.28, Sylvia. Sylvia H here. Okay. And 5.29, Michelle.
Good evening. Mayor Fulop, who fantasizes about being governor, claims Jersey City has the strictest rent control laws in New Jersey. Each word is a mockery of the tenants his administration has abandoned, especially those of us living in buildings owned by billion-dollar corporations like Equity Residential. Telling at the January 10th, 2024 meeting, council meeting here, Councilman Saleh asked what enforcement mechanisms exist for regular landlords who violate Chapter 260. And just a few sentences later, he put it perfectly when he noted regarding our mega corporate landlord, we're not dealing with an actor that's doing things in good faith. It was obvious that he was highlighting the disparity in enforcement between how the city handles smaller independent regular landlords versus large corporate entities like Equity. Fulop's administration, and that includes every single one of you, continues to look the other way, quite literally right now. You look the other way while large corporate entities like Equity seem to operate under different rules with less scrutiny or consequences than regular landlords. Recently, Fulop claimed to be 100% against rent-setting algorithms. This from a man whose deliberate non-enforcement created a paradise for corporate landlords, and he who finds time to accommodate billion-dollar real estate interests, case in point, 2 unnecessary pilot agreements to enrich Kushner. Most insulting is Fulop's attempt to blame the Rent Leveling Board for our current troubles with Equity. Listen, Fulop, you lied to the press. Our dispute isn't with the board. We're thankful the board acted properly as the independent body it was created to be. In addition to Equity, our beef is with you. You've watched silently as 2 of downtown's largest sources of affordable housing have been methodically destroyed by the very corporations you protect. Your strict laws are as empty as your promises, your enforcement as selective as your ambitions. Your legacy is one of protecting corporate interests over tenant rights. You're all about calculated favoritism. And because of you, I'll be paying another illegally inflated rent tomorrow to my not regular landlord. Listen, all of you sitting on the dais, you're waiting for us to ride it out in court. You're silent. You look bored. You're staring off into space. It's really insulting. Where is your public service moral compass? Being a leader means having to take or do difficult things sometimes. You should step up, blow a whistle, and come to our defense. We're paying millions of dollars in payment. Enough.
Our next speaker, 5.30, Erica.
Good evening, City Council members. Thank you in advance for your time and attention to the following matter. First, shouts out to Portside Towers and Enforce 260. Tonight, though, I'm speaking as a Jersey City Ward F resident to address the growing call from our community for transparency and accountability within our public safety department. Specifically, there is an overwhelming demand for public access to observe training sessions to ensure that they align with our shared goals of safety, professionalism, and de-escalation. Too often, residents feel out of the loop when it comes to understanding how our officers are being prepared to protect and serve. And this lack of transparency only widens the divide between our police force and the public. As we look at item 10.7 tonight, resolution 24-784, which is up for vote, I urge you to consider the importance of involving the community in decisions that allocate significant resources to our public safety department. This resolution seeks to allocate additional funds for ongoing tactical training through Tomahawk Strategic Solutions, a Tennessee-based corporation. Before such funds are granted, our community deserves a clear understanding of how this training is conducted, what standards are being enforced, and how this aligns with our commitment to safety, mental health sensitivity, and de-escalation training. We know that training is essential for a skilled and responsive force. However, allocating more taxpayer dollars without first establishing public oversight risks leaving our residents feeling unheard and unrepresented. I ask the council to call for greater transparency and public engagement in these processes before approving additional funding. I echo Councilman Bogiano's call for a written strategy from Director Shea to outline these and other efforts to increase and enhance enforcement in Jersey City. To date, or I should say 3 years to date, we've been in office 3 years now, Director Shea has never responded to requests made by the Ward F Council office. So good luck with that, Councilman Bogiano. I sincerely hope placing this request on record tonight helps. We know that training is essential, and another area of concern is our community. And another area of concern for our community is the ineffective use of standing posts as a public safety tactic. These posts are widely seen as wasteful and inefficient. Not only have they failed to address underlying issues, but they have also led to troubling instances where officers have been observed smoking, relaxing, and even sleeping while on duty. It's shameful and has understandably led to frustration and mistrust among residents. Our neighborhoods need a more proactive and dynamic approach to safety, one that moves away from static posts to active responsive patrols. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.31, Haruki.
Hi, good evening, Council. Imagine a house has broken locks. You report it repeatedly for 2 years. The security company sends an inspector who photographs the broken locks, acknowledges they're broken, even hears the property owner joke about not fixing them. Then the same inspector certifies in writing that your locks are perfectly fine, shortly before someone walks right into your home in the middle of the night to hurt you from it. That's basically what's happening at Portside Towers, but with state law and city ordinance violations instead of broken locks. Now, last week, in a matter of just 30 minutes, Commissioner O'Dea and Assemblywoman Stamato did what the city has failed to do for years. They looked at the facts and acknowledged the truths. They found the same violations tenants had reported hundreds of times. The same violation Councilor Gilmore verified multiple times last year and this year. The same violation Director Richardson himself photographed on September 19th. Yet, the press is told by the city spokesperson that due diligence has been done, that there are timeframes to fix issues. This might sound reasonable if these weren't the exact same violations reported continuously since at least mid-2022. The same violations documented in hundreds of public comments before you in this very hall. The same violations that persist while illegal rents pile up. When guardians become gatekeepers, when officials certify compliance despite obvious violations, they don't just fail their duty, they actively enable harm. Every day these violations continue is another day residents lack critical emergency information, another day unauthorized rents are collected, another day algorithms push housing costs higher. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Two officials, one from the county and one from the state, spent 30 minutes and found what this administration has ignored for years. This isn't about paperwork anymore. It's about trust, safety, and accountability. So, in summary, what I'm asking for is the proper enforcement, right? So the city has ordinances, the state has law, it has to be enforced. We're asking for your help to compel the competent officials to enforce these ordinances so that, we can live under the right circumstances, what the law was intended to do and what the ordinances were made to do. So that's what we're asking for here, to help us live in peace and, live get the rights that we want. And, because that's what we're supposed to do, right? Like to help us via, comparing the officials to do their jobs, right? So please, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.32, Philip.
Good evening, Council President Waterman, members of the City Council. The Blacks have lost a great proportion of wealth under the Steve Phillip administration. And now he's moving on to the state level so he can continue to ravish Black folks. Let me give you some figures. You see, figures don't lie. Liars do figure. Under the Steve Phillip administration, Blacks have lost approximately 28% of the property ownership. When he came to power, Blacks used to own mom and pop stores on Martin Luther King Drive. The number is down to 0. Blacks used to own laundromats. The number is down to 0. Black African Americans used to own liquor stores. The number is down to 0. There's no Black-owned restaurants, cabaret, fruit stands. And this Black man and some other people wanted to have a Black cultural event on the streets of Martin Luther King. I own 6 parcels of property. I was prohibited from doing that. And they've been into court lying, and they do everything to prohibit that. We're still in court 2 years over that. But white people who runs the Rock the Block can have the same kind of event the same year and the next year, which is 2023, and this year. They own no property on Martin Luther King Drive. They not only run that or operate, if you will, they receive a grant, which you approve. Pompadour, of course, they run a cultural business. They're getting a grant. You hold all kinds of hearings for them. Where I'm concerned again, I'm fighting you over a simple cultural business. And everyone is quiet. It is unfair and unreasonable. You know that. It's very hurting. Time will tell. I'm gonna leave that to you. It is just unfair. Good night.
Good night.
Our next speaker, 5.33, Diego.
Hello, my name is Diego. I'm speaking in support of the bike lane on Manhattan Franklin. I'm 25 years old. I do not have a car. I work in Jersey City. Biking is the main way I get to and from work. I work all over the city as I work in construction. I have been biking all over the city for several years now, and I find most of the time when there is no bike lane, my life is constantly at threat. I've constantly had cars honking at me for just existing on the road and cutting me off, and just in generally imposing harm on me. Whenever I want to keep myself safe, my only option is to go on the sidewalk. And if I go on the sidewalk, I am then threatening the pedestrians on the sidewalk, not necessarily because I'm going any faster, but just because I'm changing the area where I'm biking. I still have to get to work, and I just want to do it safely, but I don't like choosing between my own safety and those of others. I want to start a family here. I've grown to love the city very much, and I just want to see it improved. I have feared for my life on multiple occasions, just making a left because I thought I've made contact or made eye contact with a driver, and they suddenly veer, almost hitting me. Or just going along and a driver just brushes by me, inches away from me, just as I'm biking by doing nothing. I feel like this will help me and my future family stay safe. My partner refuses to bike at all because every time she's out on the road, she constantly fears for her life and she is terrified. So yes, please support the bike lane, especially if there's such a large grant for it. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.34, Tom. Is Tom here? No? Okay, and last but not least, 5.35, Alaya. Hey, sorry.
It's okay. I get every interpretation. They're all fine by me. All right. Good evening. Ayla Shermer, president of Bike JC, which is an advocacy organization working towards a safe and bike-friendly Jersey City. I'd like to take my time tonight to read just one of the 600 and something odd letters that you all have received so far in support of permanently implementing the Manhattan and Franklin protected bike lanes. And I will note that this letter comes from a Heights resident who is around 70 years old. And I point that out just because I kind of imagine that that is perhaps not the typical vision of the folks who are writing in these emails to you, but there are more like this one as well. So dear council members, I'm a driver, cyclist, pedestrian, and transit rider. I experienced the Manhattan Avenue and Franklin Street demonstration bike lane as a person in all four of these groups. I ask you to make it permanent. Here's why. While much has been made of inconveniences to drivers and buses, as a driver and as a number 87 bus rider, I found traffic was no worse or slower than it was before the demonstration. As a driver, I had to go 1 block over to detour around the bike lane. I survived this treacherous journey. My sister and I dined at the Green Pear restaurant on Franklin, recommended, and sat in the outdoor dining parklet, which was in the bike lane on a Saturday. We started counting bikes while waiting for our food and tallied an average of 15 bikes in just 10 minutes. Riders varied from delivery people to parents and kids to recreational riders. I can only imagine how many kids would use it as safe passage to PS 8 during the week. This bike lane should be restored to before the approaching expiration of the NJTOT Bikeway Grant. Allowing Jersey City to lose $670,000 in state funding for badly needed safety infrastructure would be a shameful waste. Using the state money to make it permanent would be a big win for a neighborhood being increasingly affected by more traffic and cut-through traffic. I live in a city because I don't have to use a car all the time. I primarily have one just because it is a job requirement. I take the bus, jitney, walk, and bike when I can, but it is tough being a cyclist and a pedestrian out there. New developments are being constructed with reduced car parking and more bike parking spaces, which is a good thing. But what good is it if riding is so unsafe that people are afraid to do it? I say this as someone who was hit while riding my bike by a driver who left the scene. My injuries were minor, but there are people who've been killed on bikes in the Heights, including one at Palisade and Congress. Protected separated bike lanes make cycling better and safer. Using state money instead of making the infrastructure department scrounge for funds from an already strapped city budget is a win for taxpayers. And I'm out of time, so I'll skip the last part and just say signed, a 24-year city resident and registered voter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our public speaking portion.
When you get a chance.
Again?
I want to ask Peter or the law department a question.
Okay,
before we get
go right ahead.
Resolutions. Now, on 10.7, based on what they presented, They said the training should be based on each client specific organization needs. That's what it says in there, right? And when I'm looking at their, personnel list, it says that, they have special people trained in special operations, security experts, and it goes on. And one thing caught my attention in there. It says medical professions too. All right. So now I would like to know, okay, with Tomahawk, what is the medical training that they do for our police officers? You may don't have that answer now. We can come back to this resolution. We could bring it back. Because the reason why I'm asking is because if they're supposed to train based on each organizational needs, times has changed. I know they have their tactic training, that's part of it. But then there's a mental portion of it that, that I believe our police officers need to be trained in also. So now, since they put it in their contract to say that they have medical professions, all right, I would like to know how are they training the police officers medically? I just want to know because, they're the experts. Right?
Absolutely, Council President. So the training will provide 4 instructors. Those instructors train on a variety of issues. The training is primarily about close quarter entry and de-escalation. So the medical will incorporate partly how to psychologically talk to individuals, try to de-escalate the situation before a potential breach or prevent any intentional entry into the premises, as well as first aid training for the responding officers who are first on scene, triage, things like that. So it compensates 2 things. One is the actual medical first aid response, and one is the psychological de-escalation, how to talk to individuals before any potential breach would occur.
Peter, I'm very familiar with Tomahawk, and their training is excellent. I was a cop for 36 years. And believe me, they're a good organization.
So do they train our police officers how to deal with people mentally?
They would, Tomahawk has different contracts with the city. This one in particular, there would be a mental component to it as far
This
as.
one will be a mental component.
Correct. There's de-escalation component as far as this training goes.
So, but I would like to know exactly how is that training done? That they share that in some form or fashion, because they said based on the client's needs. Now, we know based on what we've been going through, that there's a need now for mental health training.
So
the need changed from the time we started with them 3 years ago. Yes, they have good training. I'm not saying they don't, but since the needs have changed and they're supposed to adjust to each organization, all right, that's a fair question because needs have changed. That's
Mr. Council President, I just want to make 2 quick points. One, they do part of that through role playing. So they will actually have instructors on site that have experienced these situations, that have been trained by professionals in these situations, and they'll role play throughout the day with the different officers involved to try to role play that and provide the necessary, instruction as well as real-time situations that they might be dealing with. On top of that, the training is already set up for November, so if we do push it off, we'd have to reschedule things. I'm just worried if that would disrupt any potential police organization, scheduling, that kind of stuff. So I just want to advise the council of that.
November what, Peter?
November 3rd is in there.
8th. 4th through the 8th. So I don't think we'd have time. If we pushed it off, I don't think the next council meeting would occur before that.
Why would they put it so, I'm just so sick of public.
So I do have a question, and this probably would have been better raised in caucus, but since we're discussing it here now, knowing that some of the training that they've done in the past at different buildings, different educational facilities and the like, there has been an opportunity for the public to participate in the various different roles that they have within that. If that is something that, because that's a part of what is being asked for right now, is they want to understand the training, they want to be able to see the training. They've opened it up to the public in the past. So I would just ask that for this training in November, that there's that same opportunity. I mean, I've had friends that have participated in some of the trainings at NJCU as, as part of the actual process, whether they play somebody who has been, shot, somebody who is part of a hostage situation and the like. So, I mean, I think that opening that up to the public would be a positive thing here as well.
I just want to say, Peter, I'll vote on public safety, but with regards to the bike lanes, that the council is not voting on that, right? We're not,
No, Councilman, so that is in reference to a grant that the administration applied for. The grant doesn't expire till December. The administration is committed to asking for an extension. You get an extension in order to apply the grant. So that one's not before us today. We're not voting on today. And the administration is committed to working with us to get the extension.
Okay, and also I just want to say, first, I want to commend Portside. You guys have literally been coming to every council meeting since I've been on the council. But I will say I'm really pulled in a unfamiliar territory in a sense that I have to rely on, like, I don't know I know the law, but it's so much gray area with the law. So for me, it's extremely hard to say, hey, I mean, I know that I didn't see what's supposed to be there, but for me, when I'm talking about the law, it's like, I don't know, how can I explain? I don't know, like, because there, at one point I'm hearing, well, everything's in litigation, so whatever we bring forward, it's almost going to go nowhere because the courts still have to decide whether they're supposed to be subject to rent control. But in another side, like the advocacy part of me is like, I'm frustrated too, because to be paying a rent that we're not supposed to be paying for all of these years, and people are taking second jobs, people are missing out spending on time with their children. So I extremely sympathize with that, and I do feel bad. And I'm not saying this like because I'm siding with the administration. I'm just saying from a legal perspective, like if the law department tell me something, I almost have to take it on face value because I'm not an attorney. I'm not an attorney. And all my experience with the law is just so much gray area in the law. That's why you have to go to court. It's so much gray area. Like, I get it. I'm not like, I feel because like I said, you guys have been here meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. If it was up to me, I'm sending a violation. I see it with my own eyes. I don't see it.
Let's go. It's almost 9 o'clock. Come on.
I don't see it. But I'm just saying, like, it is just like it's really hard for me again because I'm just not an attorney, and I don't have I'm not afforded the time to look in to see what the actual look, because there's so many other things going on around the entire ward. So I just wanted to say that on that behalf. But I also want to say, like, I'm going to still do everything in my power to ensure that justice prevails. Just know that. I'm going to do that. So I just wanted to say that in light of all of that. You ready, Rich?
No. You didn't have nothing to say, did you?
No,
We didn't have nothing to say. I told him to let you speak.
Okay. All right, on to petitions and communications. Any questions or comments on items 6.1 through 6.39? Hearing none, any questions or comments on office communications 7.1 through 7.13? Hearing none, any questions or comments on report of directors 8.1 through 8.2? On to our claims and addendum number 1. Council members are going to be taking a vote on claims and addendum number 1. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore. Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Claims and addendum number 1 are approved unanimously 9-0. On to our resolutions. I believe that 10.3, Councilperson Rivera.
Yeah, we could just move that to the next council meeting. Representative is not here today.
Okay, so the administration has no problem withdrawing the resolution, correct?
Absolutely, no problem.
Okay. So we'll withdraw that for tonight and bring it back at the November 14th meeting. With that being said, council members are going to be taking a vote on items 10.1 through 10.11 with the exception of 10.2, which was approved earlier, and 10.3, which has been withdrawn. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Gonna abstain on 10.7. I'll vote aye for the rest.
Councilperson DeG.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
On 10.7, I do have a concern. And the reason why, because our needs change. That's why, okay? So now you tell me the class is, I thought November 3rd, but it's November 4th. So I'm going to abstain on this one because I think as we grow as a city, if our needs change and if we're hiring people to train our officers, that must be included now because mental health is a challenge now. And so you want to make sure that the police officers are receiving that because based on these trainers' experience, that the minimum is 15 years experience they have. So if they have, the minimum is 15 years, to me, it seemed like now, I mean, with all that's going on with mental health, this is a thing throughout the whole country. It seemed like somebody on there should be able to give us more, our police officers, more mental health training. That should just be a part of it. We shouldn't really even have to really keep writing for grants. That should really just be a part of it because the needs are changed. So on that one, I'm just going to abstain, but the rest, yes, simple.
Okay. Items 10.1 and 2 are approved unanimously 9-0. 10.3 was withdrawn. 10.4 through 10.6 approved 9-0. 10.7 is approved 7-0-2 with councilpersons Gilmore and Council President Waterman abstaining. And items 10.8 through 10.11 are approved 9-0. On to our next set of resolutions, items 10.12 through 10.21. 10.12 through 10.21. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Items 10.12 through 10.21 are approved unanimously 9-0. For the balance of our resolutions, 10.22, 10.28, with the exception of 10.22, which was approved earlier, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
No on 1024, aye on the rest.
Thank you. Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Okay, items 10.20 through 10.23 are approved 9-0. Item 10.24 is approved 8-1 with Councilperson Solomon voting no. And items 10.25 through 10.28 are,
Wait, Sean, I have to abstain from 10.9. I'm sorry.
say that again,
I have to abstain from 10.9.
10.9. Okay, so 10.25 through 10.28 is approved 9-0. Getting back to 10.9,
Yeah, cannabis.
no problem. Let me just get to it. So 10.9, you're going to abstain
Yeah.
as well. So just to recap, 10.9's vote will be 8-0-1 with Council President Waterman abstaining. With that being said, do I have the magic? I hear a motion at 8:46 p.m. The motion was made, I believe, by Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Prinzary. Ridley, sorry about that. Without mics on, I can't really hear this thing. On the motion to adjourn at 8:46 p.m., all council members present by acclamation, please say aye. We are out of here at 8:46 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone in person and everyone watching at home. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great night. Stay safe. Go Yankees.
Yep, 3-0. 4-0.